Everyone had a good lunch, and that last presentation was great. I hope you saw some of that. When Chris was picking out panels for, and the committee were picking out panels for this year, this was the one that stood out the most, so I'm thrilled to be able to introduce it. I can't think of a more compelling, important, and timely subject matter than the one this panel will be discussing. While the majority of the conversation today might be centered around recent and specific geopolitical events, it's undeniable that we live in an age of constant upheaval, from climate change to natural disasters to economic collapses. As developers and service providers, preparing for and reacting to these kinds of events is going to be more and more part of our jobs. I also can't think of a more qualified person to lead a discussion than Claas Grimm. He's a true globetrotter. He hails from Hamburg, Germany. He spent nearly a decade in China, including 7 years in art outsourcing, which is where I first worked with him. He now serves as a CFO of Sharkmob, which is a AAA PC and console development studio operating across Sweden and the UK. I'm going to let him introduce our esteemed panelists, but for now, please give a warm welcome to Claas Grimm.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we start, I would like to read a few words that I have prepared, since this is a heavy subject. Almost all of today's video game releases have some part of their production in Ukraine. So when Russia attacked Ukraine in February last year, it really hit home for us, the video games industry, an industry that's usually detached from the worst of the real world problems. This is taking place at a time of financial crisis. 2 years of high inflation rates have had an effect on the video games industry, which went through the previous financial turbulence relatively unaffected. And then there was COVID-19 with its dramatic effects on the economy and where and how we work. Despite all these challenges, the Ukrainian games industry today stands strong, and that's thanks to the incredible resilience, but also the unwavering support from its partners, many of who are in this room here today have played a part in this. That being said, today representatives of 4 of Ukraine's top external development companies will share their story and the experience gained from that with us. I'm both honored and humbled that you are sharing that with us. For those who had no interaction with the Ukrainian games industry recently, I hope the next 45 minutes will provide valuable insight, first-hand insight. For those who've been working with and supporting Ukrainian companies, I hope you can see how the sum of your decisions had a real impact, not just on a small scale. Supporting the Ukrainian economy means supporting their fight for freedom and independence. Last but not least, I hope we can all reflect if we are ready to make the right decisions in difficult situations, and we can stay true to our moral standards. With that out of the way, please introduce yourselves. Who are you? What is your studio? What are you doing? Where are you located? How many people you have? All the good stuff. Let's start with Alina.
So I'm Alina. I represent Virtus, and more precise, I represent Wolmy Games, which is a studio based in Kyiv, Ukraine, and we became a part of Virtus in 2022. I'm account director for Wolmy specifically, just to make sure that our clients have the good connection within the group to our team.
Hi, my name is Daniel Polodionny. I'm the head of the NX Game VR studio. We're a part of a company called NX, which is a global outsourcing vendor in software development with more than 2,000 people. That's been around more than 20 years. And I've been with the studio for about 6 years. We specialize in full cycle development, co-development, and art production.
Hi, my name is Svyat. I have a position of being chairman at Roommate Group. Roommate Group is a global external game development, co-development, art production, trailers, and QA company. We have 1,600 people. And when the war started, we had 800 people in Ukraine. Now we have half of that amount, like half of 1,600 people.
My name is Yuri, company is CEO Ulysses Graphics. Our company is at about 120 people. We've been in business since about 2005, making top-notch graphics for AAA games, mostly.
Thank you very much. So I'm gonna walk through in probably 3 questions, a bit chronologically, through the events, and then hopefully we can end with some advice and probably a bunch of good questions. So, let's return to February 2022, or the beginning of that year. The financial crisis is starting to bite, the inflation rates are going up, and the international community observes a large buildup of Russian troops on the border of Ukraine and the territory of Belarus and Russia. The Russian army attacks, closes in on Kiev. Contrary to what most people believed, the Ukrainian forces put up an incredible defensive fight. The advance is stopped in March. In April, the army retreats. This was succeeded by a period of severe missile attacks on the infrastructure, causing problems with electricity supply. Those early dark days, how did that play out for you? And were you prepared in any way? Did you make some preparations? How did your business partners react in the first few weeks or in the first few days? You are based in Kiev, everyone is there. Did you have any preparations? How did it play out?
Yeah, just before the full-scale invasion, there were talks about that it may happen. But to be honest, in Ukraine, nobody believed that it would. Just the chance of that happening, everybody was giving a very small percent. But the implications were so high that we decided to actually take some steps. And the plan was to set up the second office in Lviv, which is in the western part of Ukraine, which would be a safer place in case something would have happened. So we almost rented a new office. Actually, our CEO Anatoly was on his way to Lviv to sign the contract when the invasion happened. So that kind of failed, but we had what we call the safe point. We set up safe points, one in Kiev, in our office, which has a bunker and has a generator, so it's a good place for people to go to in case they don't know like what happens. And the second one we actually did set up in Lviv, and I was actually already there before the war started. We also took some steps to have a server in Germany in case something happens to our office. All the information is still there, it's backed up. And we've had a lot of conversations with our team. We've been talking about different potential scenarios, what we're going to do, how we're going to act. So psychologically, we thought we were prepared. So when things actually happened, we had a plan. We had a plan of what to do.
Good. And Alina, I believe you had just completed the acquisition by Virtuous and were probably in the middle of integration. Did that make a difference, being part of a larger group? And maybe also did COVID affect your planning, being able to work remotely?
Well, with COVID, like everyone was already professionals and fluent in working remotely. So I think that helped us once we were kind of relocating people and restructuring everything to settle it as soon as possible and as effectively as we could. But yeah, we were officially announced about the acquisition on 22nd of January. And basically we had only 1 month on the process where we were starting to integrate into new teams to get acquainted with our colleagues, and basically we had a new page opened for the Volmi, and we had really a lot of changes, exciting changes, but big changes to do. And when invention started, we had like unexpected change which overwhelmed all other aspects that we had, and we were trying to balance those things. So we were not stopping all the integration processes. We were trying to find the balance, and it was like being the part of a big group. At first was a bit scary because we were just like new to the group. Would we find the common language? And it was very surprising and so very helpful to all team members to see that all other studios were open to adjust some processes to find solutions with us. And it was inspiring and helping to the team while we were relocating the people to the safer locations, while we were settling new workstations to them. And with all that processes, we were still much more slower, but we were doing the integration process, and we were having a great support. And I think that also was very helpful from emotional perspective, being a part of this group and having the feeling that all people think of you like your colleagues already, so they are not, so that your new studio and they don't know much about you. Everyone was very involved to the process, and that was very helpful.
That's great. And then, so you're part of a business or a group of companies that's not only dealing with games. Do you have a bit of a different perspective on that? And how did your clients react?
Yeah, I would say that everybody had pretty much the same perspective. It was, for me, it was one of the scariest mornings in my life, honestly, reading all these big titles and everything. Clients reacted quite well, I would say, much better than expected. We received so much support, so many warm words. Some clients even sent financial support to some of their teams, people who were relocating in between Ukraine. But overall, since COVID, the company had a BCP team. It was working starting 5 a.m. On February 24. And we were focusing on relocating people from the most eastern regions, organizing buses and everything. Our headquarters was traditionally in Lviv, which is quite far away. It's more like 60 kilometers to Polish border. And we arranged like a shelter there. There's actually an article on VirtualBeat about how we managed this whole situation. And overall, it was difficult. Then in the second part of when we thought that dust started settling, in the second part of the year, our energy infrastructure Ukrainian energy infrastructure started getting attacked. So we had to deal with that as well. We've got a dedicated internet line in our office coming from Poland. And we started ordering Starlinks, we started ordering the power stations for people who work from home, and everybody was able to also come to the office, which was 24/7 supplied with power, with generator and everything. So basically we tried to do our best to facilitate people, their families as well, helping them finding places to live and so on.
And I believe all of you had the same experience. That how long did it take you to go back to being fully operational? And I believe, Sviat, you're probably the company that were most distributed, several locations in Ukraine. I believe there must have been a lot going on depending on the location. And how long did it take you to get it back together?
Surprisingly, I would say 2 weeks stop, like to get to maybe 85% of real performance. Like first 3 days was like close to zero, maybe 10%, but first 2-3 days, it all was a complete mess, and everybody was just trying to do what is right. We literally told our people not to worry about assets, about delivery, about anything. We started contacting our partners to say that, like, probably or obviously there will not be any delivery in the same days, but like we are really working to come back and like to the schedule, but there will be some effect on schedule. And but the reality is that I think it was really important for people to be distracted from the war too. That's something that I wouldn't really think. And like despite even us saying that you shouldn't do work, you should be focused on your safety, we are working together to deliver on that, we start seeing assets being delivered or games or like anything, and it appears that that actually helps people to distract from things that they can't control to some extent, and give us room to actually help them. So to sum up, 3-4 days of really low performance, but in 2 weeks it was quite good. Who wanted to move, they moved, and a lot of people just didn't want. So because like we had at this point in time 800 people maybe in 30 cities, and yeah, mainly in 5, but there are still 20% there, and so on and so on. And you can't really prioritize in this case, like you can't think in a corporate way. So we have this amount of resource, we will help these guys and we will not help those guys. You can't. It's like safety, life and death matter, so you should do your best to help everybody at the same time. But 2 weeks after, when things settled and when everybody made the decision, things were surprisingly good. So.
And I think when we talked, I think it was really great to hear that almost no clients pulled out their support. Everybody said we need to help our partners, treat them almost like colleagues, and I think that was really great to hear. But regardless of that support, I think it's remarkable how resilient all the companies were in Ukraine, and bringing their operations back together at max within 3 months being fully operational. Certainly not the outcome it looked like in the first few days. But now let's look a bit at the current situations. How is it looking for you right now? How is the talent situation? How is the operational situation? What kind of problems do you face? And what kind of initiatives are you working forward? Are you planning for the future, or is the future more a bit of a fog that you see what happens? Alina, you told me a lot about your travel adventures recently. It's not easy to leave Ukraine and travel, but despite all those difficulties, all of you are still traveling. And yeah, how is that situation for you right now, and what are you planning? Because I know you're still in Kiev, right?
I spent a year in Warsaw because we had quite a number of people relocated, so we settled a studio in Warsaw, which is now Virtus Labs, and proceeding expanding. And I got back to Kiev because I feel it's more like my place. And for the travels, it's just adding for you a bit of time for each direction, so you cannot easily jump to the plane and get in a few hours to the place. You have to consider that you might be stuck on the border, or you add in more time to your travel in anyway. It's you just accept it, and you think about it like it's you have more long journey. You can spend the time to do your emails, to do the work if you have convenient atmosphere for that. But in otherwise, I think it's not really impacting the work itself. Just adding a bit of different approaches. And in terms of our side, when we're still supporting the Warsaw studio, we have our HR team traveling or other members. So we're trying to keep connection between the people. And still, so it's good for the teams to be together, and any logistical problems cannot be solved. So it's just a bit of extra time. That's it, nothing more.
Right. And Sviat, your roommate has a much more of a global footprint, yet still a lot of operations in Ukraine. How do you operate currently? Is your business growing? How is the talent situation? Maybe you can comment.
So for us, it is like a principal decision to continue hiring in Ukraine. I think it would be quite a big mistake to halt hiring in Ukraine because talent is great. I think that the resilience is really mind-blowing, and not only on a company level, but on a personal level. So people are really trying to understand and figure out a lot of things, build a lot of special tools that helps with electricity and all other stuff. And I think that there is no lack of performance at all. Like even despite there is some conflict of interest, like for me to say it, yeah, but we look on it through different perspectives, and I just don't see it. And I don't think that it will be worse. I don't understand what should be, except maybe some very, very like exotic options. So, but in terms of hiring, we planned to globalize long before the war started, but it was quite comfortable for us to grow in Ukraine. So kind of against all odds, it is accelerated for us, and I think that we delivered on that. Like we doubled in that year, which doesn't make sense for me. I still don't understand, to be honest, how we did that, but we did that, and I think that's a great performance of our team. But realistically, now we have geopolitics as one of the criteria, because previously it was reasonably simple. We would look on location like Spain or Romania, or there are, in the end of the day, there are a lot of good locations with good cost, with good talent, and different balance between cost, talent, possibility to hire. So now, based on our experience that we didn't want to have, to be honest, yeah, but now we have always in our strategy session potential risks for 1 year, for 3 years, for 5 years. And that's why, like in some countries, we even held it fully, our M&A, or we decided not to open new offices, because one of our lessons that impossible is possible. So and it is very pricey to be ignorant, to be honest. So, yeah.
Right. And you're probably less affected by the macro trends. You're fully based in Kiev. How is the situation looking for you? Are you growing your business? How's the work with the clients?
Yeah, we are growing. We have been growing ever since. The only flat period of growth we had was during COVID, I think. But right now, yes, we even after the invasion started, we resumed the growth, and we used to be at around 90 or closer to 100 people before the war. Now we are at 120, a little bit more sometimes. It depends. And we still have. I mean, of course, none of the clients left us. Everybody stayed with us, and some were even great enough to offer. I'm talking about specifically Sharkmob here, that offered our employees that were able to leave the country to actually hire them. So now we have about 8 people working at Sharkmob. So thank you for that. And all the other clients were also extremely helpful. So the interest is still there. The demand is still there. That's why we're growing. We're going to continue growing. And I don't think we're going to be affected much, because I think we are very specialized in what we do. We are a smaller studio, of course, and I hope things remain the same way. We are also looking into possibility to open office in Warsaw, but that's just to lessen and diversify the risks a little bit.
Great. And Dan, I don't know if you have any comments on that, or if you have a similar experience, but I think you're also working a little bit with the armed forces. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we as a company, I think, donated quite a big deal of funds to our army. I think it was around 2.5 million, and half of that was raised from the employees as well. So everybody in Ukraine nowadays have a habit to fill. We have these little jars that people collect for drones or for vests or other things. But we also put our expertise to a good use here by cooperating with Lviv border guard unit that takes care of training of soldiers. So we basically took our expertise with Unreal Engine and game design and everything to help them develop a training simulator for mobile rocket launchers, so like anti-air and anti-tank, so that our soldiers could be more proficient in that and be trained much faster. It's quite a sophisticated device. We actually are using a tube of a used device that we modify using VR and additional physical controllers to track its position, to track the pressing of the button, because you need to prepare it first, and then you put on a VR headset, and then you find the target and you launch it. So it was just shown last week, the proof of concept of one of the models, but we have 50, and we want a training exercise for everyone, every single one. So yeah, but other than that, yeah, I would say it's pretty much the same with the diversification with locations. Like, it was global, like company-wide strategy since COVID. We were trying to like add more locations, but at the same time, like Svet said, we are not really abandoning Ukraine, and we're staying there because it's a source of, probably, in my humble opinion, of the best talent in game development.
That's great. Yeah, and I know all of your companies do a lot to support the whole effort. Thanks. Now, unfortunately, the war is still going on, but it looks a lot less terrible than 20 months ago. There's a lot of support from the international community, and certainly you have gone through a lot. Now, what kind of advice or what kind of experience did you get from this that you could share with other buyers or sellers or the industry as a whole? Sviat, when we talked a little bit, I had to get reminded by this famous quote from a German field marshal: "No plan survives enemy contact." You said I believe you said in the first few days you had to make 100 decisions per hour, of which half of them become obsolete within the same. What kind of advice, after going through all of that, would you share?
Yeah, I mean, to some, I would say, extent, it's all still in the fog, and it was in the fog, like first 3 weeks in the fog, yeah. But I clearly remember one moment when I was writing one message, and I got 40 messages while I finished this message, and like really, and it was, I mean, it isn't really clear how you can go through it. You just need to go. So you should continue going. You need to be very stubborn, and you need to do your best. So in terms of like, to formally sum up our like piece of advices, I think we'll need like a few hours, yeah, but really to try to do it is, first, whatever you think is not possible, probably it's possible. So it's better to be prepared, and it's better to be safe than sorry. So, second, it's really important to have BCP plans. It's really important to prepare, but there is a possibility that it all doesn't matter. So you really need to embrace it. Like, quick examples: we contracted a transportation company. Before the war started, nobody believed. We still contracted. One of our owner has a friend, owner of transportation company, paid, contracted, was absolutely sure that in some cities we have a possibility to transport a lot of people. And in the first day when the rockets flew, drivers said in this transportation company said to the owners that they're not going to work, they don't care, they can be fired, goodbye. So like, you kind of realize that you don't have a transportation company, yeah? And then you send some money from your bank to Ukraine to help your people, and then your bank just saying, let's block the payment because we are not sure what's going on. And you're like, we're in Ukraine, our people need money, we have a long history with bank, what is the reason not to send the money? You know, like, any logical? And they just said, there is war, like, we are not clear, we need 5 days to clear Like, what? We need money tomorrow, you know. So I think that culture actually will play a bigger role than any plan, and it is really important to create an environment where proper culture and true people like commitment can really make a difference. So, and second, you need really be able to make a lot of different decisions all the time. We had the situations when, even when we made decisions in 2 hours, actually when we made them, they was completely outdated. And last but not least, I think in all BCP plans, we need to embrace the idea that we are working with people, and like there is a beauty in all of us being irrational, but in some cases it is actually really not helpful, you know. But when there is war, it all elevates. So you really need to understand that people might change their opinion as they leaving or they're not leaving 6 times per day, and that's fine. So you need to build your plan around that and then kind of just adapt. So that's my part.
Yeah, I think the big interesting point here is that are your decision-making processes actually flexible enough to react to all these unforeseen situations? Alina, you told me that your HR department from one day to another leveled up 100 times because all of a sudden they had to deal with things that you usually don't deal with.
Yeah, that's true, because previously they were having like the daily duties to make sure that they have a one-to-one, they make sure that all employees are happy and so on. But in one day they need to be like 911 call center to give all emotional support, to make sure that people are good, and they needed to settle like this process. That time we had like 187 people, I think, and I was amused also, like in general, by the management team, how fast everyone reacted, because we were not having enough of HR people to keep track of all the employees. We wanted to make sure we know where they're located, how we can help them if their families need help. So we basically created our internal support center. So we call to each member like at least one time a day or one time in 2 days, to make sure that we track their locations, because people were relocating by themselves, not only like with company support, and we wanted to make sure that we know where they are. And I was really impressed how our HR team reacted to that, helped to all the managers and producers to organize the communication processes, so they know where the artist located, where all the people located, and to make sure that either help needed to the families if they relocated by family on a place. And that was the great update for them, and expertise also from to work with the people in stressful emotional conditions, how to talk to them, how to make sure that they keep calm, how they keep trust to the company, that they keep the stability for themselves. I think that's expertise that they will bring, and they will upgrade the team with every day from there.
Yeah, that's incredible, and we're almost out of time, but Dan and Yuri, maybe if you can say quickly, if you would go back 20 months and could talk to yourself, what kind of advice would you have? Maybe Dan, you can start.
Yeah, I mean, have a BCP team in place and give them as much freedom of decision making as you can. And probably that would be, and the more kind of like long-term advice, business-wise, diversify your business.
Yuri.
One of our core values in our company is people come first culture, and that includes both clients and our employees. Thanks to the strong relationships that we have established with our clients, They helped us out when we needed help, and thanks to the strong relationships with our employees, because many things that you guys have mentioned, we had the same thing, including the call center of HR, and our IT guys, so they were just heroes because they stayed in Kiev to make sure that the servers are running, the computers are operating. And again, they did it because of the loyalty, the trust they have built up with each other. So yeah, my advice would be prepared is one thing, as much as you possibly can. And the second one is make sure that people you're working with, clients you're working with, you have strong relationships with them.
Great. Thank you so much. It's not an easy topic to talk about, so I'm super grateful that you participated here. We have some time for questions, but maybe a round of applause, and also